This kid's fire.
What's that? What's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that? What's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother,
Yes, people, welcome back to another stream. Hopefully, you guys are well. Smash the likes on the way in. Get these likes up real quick, man. 200 people in the building already, man. Big up to you guys already joining, man. 200 people at this time, pretty mad. So smash the likes up on the way. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you are new. And of course, if you want to become a YouTube channel member, you can do. Link in description, pinned comment. Sometimes there's a join button. You know what I wanted to say? This show with Joe and Pulpy, man, it means more. It means more. When I do the solo streams, man, this means more, Brez. I just want to say that I appreciate you guys for jumping on. It always means more when there's a couple of guests on the show. And I just want to show my appreciation for you, innit? So thank you, Pulpy. Thank you, Joe, for joining me tonight.
Yeah. No worries, mate. We haven't signed a contract, me and Joe, so we're probably going to be off in the summer as well, mate.
Yeah, I think if we we'll leave, but we'll do it on a free because because it means it's meant a lot to us, but we will walk away for free.
Yeah, you can go to Martin's channel on a free transfer. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. I just be like, start slagging you off, innit? Do you know what I mean? I'll be like, what the fuck are these guys leaving me on a free? Now that is mad though, isn't it? You know what I mean? Have you I suppose you've both seen the meltdown from the Liverpool fans. So some of them, let's be fair, some of them have been legit, but what have you made of this? Because I've been a couple of shows today and like having debates about whose fault is this? If this was Foden, what would I be saying? That my basic sort of like view on this whole Trent thing, yeah, and we will come to City in a second, chat, so don't worry about it. But my whole view on this Trent thing is like, has he kind of fucked them over? I just think for me, it's more the club's fault. Like, I don't really see how you can like put mad blame on Trent when he's out of contract, Van Dijk's out of contract, Salah's out of contract, Konate's out of contract next summer, and Alisson's out of contract the summer after. I don't see how you can look at that and go, Trent's fault. Like, bro, at the end of the day, yeah, if he wants to leave, he wants to leave. He would have rejected a contract 2 years ago. Yeah, because they would have offered him a contract 2 years ago. So Liverpool have known for two seasons that this guy ain't staying. Yeah, because they would have offered him a deal 2 years ago, innit? And at that point, when he rejected the contract and he said, I'm not signing the contract, they should have gone, well, I'm sorry then, we're going to have to force you out of the club. We're going to have to sell you. And, you know, maybe they wouldn't have got the feed he wanted because they're sort of pushing him out. But they've let it get to this stage. I don't know where you boys are. Joe, let me start with you and then hope you join in it.
Ultimately, it's a bit of both in it. Like, really, like I understand. Obviously, FSG are the ones who have, either didn't offer him a contract until very late in the day, or got to a point where they knew a couple of years out, like you say, that he wasn't going to sign a new deal, and still decided, well, we'd rather have you just run it out on a free than accept any bid that came. But really, I'm not even sure how much. Did Madrid place an offer for him in January? Do I remember that right?
Yeah, so the rumours are that Real Madrid offered 20 million quid in January.
Yeah.
Liverpool rejected that, and there are some rumours saying that Real Madrid were interested in the summer, but it would have been, again, only like 30, 40 million.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about that point, then I completely understand why Liverpool wouldn't take that money at that point. Like at the stage of the season, you've got six months left, and you're on track for a Premier League title that by that point was by no means wrapped up. You were still in the Champions League and still could, there's so much more that could have happened between January and the end of the season that there's no point selling Trent for 20 million at that point. And then obviously if they were interested last summer, but it was only for like 30 or 40 mil. I mean, we've seen some players go with 1 year left on their deal for a lot more money than that, who are a lot older than Trent and have a lot less to give than Trent.
Sanchez went for like 60.
Sanchez went for 60, yeah. Kane went for, what was it, 100 or whatever it was, or close to that to Bayern. So, you're looking at someone who's, 26 years, well, last summer he would have been 25 years old, wouldn't he, Trent? And, you're looking at getting 40 mil for him then. Like, no wonder Liverpool said no at that point. However, there is also the other side of things, and this is where I can kind of sympathise with Liverpool fans, where ultimately Trent is a academy product, and like it or not, they are kind of held to we've seen the same thing with Rashford. We kind of see it a little bit with Foden ourselves. Like, they're held to higher standards. Like, they are players who ultimately should not, fans feel like they should not be the ones who kind of leave the club in a bad spot or kind of dick the fans over a little bit in a way. And I think that no matter what, running down your contract and forcing it so that you leave on a free, I think that's not great from Trent's point of view. Even if I can ultimately understand that it's not his fault, I think that we're in a world now where you see so many players sign contracts like with the full understanding that they're going to leave. Maybe they just put in like a 50 mil release clause, for example, something that's still like very attainable for a club like Real Madrid, but means that the club gets something out of it at the end of the day. And look, at the end of the day, it's all very irrational from a fan's point of view. Liverpool fans think of Trent as another Liverpool fan who just who's living their dream and playing for Liverpool, basically. And that's probably because Trent has himself very much played on the fact that he is a Liverpool fan for most of his time at the club. So when that happens, and you then walk away from the club on a free transfer, I can fully understand why Liverpool fans are not going to be, giving him a pat on the back and a nice, cheers, lad, on the way out. Like, they're going to be like, no, fuck off, hang on a minute. You're supposed to be like me. You're supposed to be someone who'd play here for free if you could. You're supposed to be someone who, would never leave. And I completely understand it from that kind of ultimately irrational point of view, why fans would think of it that way. But I think we can all agree that really it comes down to the fact that FSG probably fucked it up by letting it get to the point where they waited until... Was he on a 5-year deal? Is this a 5-year deal that's running out, or a 6-year deal or something?
I would have imagined he would have been on at least a 5-year deal, yeah.
Yeah, so let's say that he signed this deal when he was 21. I think Trent has done more than enough in the last 5 years to have warranted contract talks to open up earlier than a year or two out from his contract expiring. Like City, what we generally tend to do is, so it's 4 years, yeah, so it was 22 that he signed the new deal. Like, we basically just get to a point where we go, your performances have improved. Here's a new contract. Like, we don't necessarily care how long you've got left on it. You just earned a pay rise and you've earned some kind of reward for how you're playing. No one can tell me that Trent hasn't done that at Liverpool. And FSG, because they're so tight-fisted and they're very much, a money ball, like profit-led kind of club, the way they like to think they do things. They will happily just, if a player's on 150 grand a week and putting in 250, 300 grand a week performances, FSG are thinking, oh, that's good for us, isn't it? We're doing well there. We're paying this guy less than he probably should be, but that's good for our numbers, so we'll not give him a new deal. And that's probably ultimately the reason why Trent has seen one of his best mates in Jude Bellingham go to Real Madrid, and then also seen Kylian Mbappe join him at Real Madrid on a free transfer where he's pocketed all of the potential transfer fee in his back pocket as a signing on fee, which Trent will no doubt be getting. But at least, I mean, if they were willing to pay 20 million Jan, then you'd imagine that Trent will be asking for or be getting 20, 30 mil as a signing on bonus in the summer, like before he's even kicked a ball or landed in Madrid. So I mean, I can fully understand why Liverpool fans, even if I find it hilarious, I can absolutely understand why Liverpool fans are fuming, and I would probably be the same if it was Foden who was walking out on a free, to be honest. But I think ultimately the real sort of problem is FSG and how they've handled it, because we're seeing, as you mentioned, Salah, Van Dijk, and I didn't notice until you'd said that Konate going potentially.
Bro, when I seen that today, season, that Konate's contract is like up next year, I was like, "What the fuck are they doing?"
Yeah. If it was just,
what are they doing, bro?
If it's just Trent, you can go, "Oh, maybe it's like you say, oh, it's a bit of a dick move by Trent." But when it's that many players, I think it's fair to say that the club are the ones who are probably doing something wrong when it comes to these contract things. So I'll let Pulpy go.
You pretty much nailed it, Joe, to be fair. I'm not going to go over what you just said because you've been pretty accurate with it. But it's a bit, it stinks on both sides, really. You know, Trent knew he was leaving. He should have said to Liverpool, I was going and I'm not signing a contract. Then they could have sold him.
But he obviously did do that because he rejected.
I don't think you don't know, mate. We don't know. I don't think you'll ever know. But Liverpool,
he's rejected the contract, though, isn't it? He has rejected the contract. So they knew when he rejected the contract that he wasn't staying at that point.
But it's Liverpool, obviously, the hierarchy have obviously played on the fact that he's a lifelong Scouser and he's an icon and hoping that they can have him over a barrel. And he's just said, no, fuck it. I've got no sympathy whatsoever for Liverpool in this situation. They've done it themselves. They've done it before. I remember Steve McManaman leaving and going to Real Madrid for the same things. They just seem to think that they've got some sort of ego where it means more to play for Liverpool when obviously it fucking doesn't. And he won't be the next one. I still think Salah or that Van Dijk's going as well. You know, they just don't take care of their players like, for instance, we do. So no sympathy in terms of that. And in terms of him going to Real Madrid, I couldn't give a shit, to be fair. I don't think he makes them any better. In fact, I think he probably makes them a little bit weaker because we've seen how much he gets rinsed at right back anyway. So he might make some amazing passes in Real Madrid and look good on highlight reels, but when it comes down to it, he probably weakens their defense a bit anyway. So that's good for us, good for teams like us who we play them a lot. Doku turned him inside out and basically sent him packing. So, you know, in footballing terms, I couldn't care less where he's gone. I'm just glad he's out of the Premier League because I can't stand him. I think he's a dickhead.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad he's going because, to be honest with you, like, I do kind of rate him. To be honest, I personally think he's a bit overrated. I can't lie.
He is.
I'm not trying to be doing a salty thing, yeah. Like, I can recognise he's a good player, and I can recognise on the ball he's a very good player, yeah. But I also do think he's a really bad defender. Now, that's just my opinion, but yeah, I think he's going to have an interesting time at Real Madrid because he's going to be replacing one of the greatest, most underrated right backs of all time, in my opinion. In Karl.
He can't get ahead of him in that team when he's back fit, even when he's come back.
Well, Carvajal's like 34 now.
He's not coming. No, he can't. He'll play midfield, and I know my big worry.
Have you seen their midfielders? He's not getting in front of any of them.
I don't know. My big worry is more than just that internationally. Some sort of there's just some sort of shield around English players that like Bellingham and that. I feel like he's just going to become some integral part of England, and he's just shit. And I just can't be arsed with it. I just can't be arsed.
No, I don't think he'll get in the England setup.
He will now. He's at Real Madrid. He's sort of like guaranteed to walk.
I think Tuchel rates James.
I don't. I think he'll probably be I wouldn't be surprised if that picture you showed of him with pregnant Jude Bellingham, that there's a picture of him with his arms around them both, Tuchel, like, here we go, with my family.
I think if James can stay fit, which is obviously a big if, I think James starts for England. Because Tuchel's lad.
He gets injured every 3 days.
But that's the problem with Reece James, never stays fit, does he? But,
it's weird, I actually think that with Trent's skill set, he should, in theory, be a perfect wing back if Tuchel's going to do like his 5 at the back, which he, the first 2 games haven't shown that he will. But when it comes to a tournament time, we're playing against teams that are like of equivalent quality. 5 at the back, Trent at wing back wouldn't be like you could understand it. But yeah, I imagine obviously if he's fit, Reece James gets in all day. So Reece James is a better right back. I mean, for me, Reece James is the most complete right back. When fit,
I just think that
Real Madrid exists.
Having that Real Madrid shirt on now sort of elevates him to another level, and I just don't think he deserves it because he doesn't.
I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
think you're underestimating Tuchel a little bit there because I think
Nah,
Tuchel.
I love England, mate. I've spoken to you before. It was always football for me growing up. This squad announcement that Tuchel made just pissed me off. I've
No,
been
it did as
fuming for a
well with
week.
me. It did as well with me.
Yeah,
I rate Tuchel and I'm
pissed
gonna
me
back
off.
him, but that squad was a bit
Pissed
mad.
me off. Just
To be
yeah.
honest with you, if you want my honest opinion, I think this sort of like a try and get Walker 200 cap situation going on because, like, with all due respect, that guy's gonna be 36 next year. Like, why is he in the squad? Like, you know what I mean? It don't make
And
really
he's
too much
shite.
sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes,
So
Ironically,
I
actually,
don't know.
ironically, he's actually
Don't know.
played quite well in both the games for England. He's been all right. It's actually been all right when he played.
I'm very surprised you even watched it, mate. Yeah, because I didn't even watch the games, to be honest with you.
It was. I watched the one on Friday, but the one yesterday I watched like the last half an hour of, and it was like, it's no, there's not really much to take from these games.
Right.
But yeah, Trent's going, and we all knew it. But yeah, fingers crossed we see at least one of Salah or Van Dijk go, because that will be. I mean, if the Scouse meltdown for this has been one thing, but if they see Salah walk on a free transfer, especially when, because inevitably this will happen, they will not sign a huge superstar to replace Salah, and I think that's what the fans. I think that's all that the fans will accept. Like, if you're watching a player like Salah leave on a free, who will be off the back of what a 50 goal and assist season in all competitions when he's gone.
I know.
They're gonna want like a like legit guaranteed numbers coming in to
They hit the
replace him.
jackpot by the time Salah. They got in for
No, exactly.
They're never going. They can't repeat that. We can't sign another Kevin De
No.
Bruyne. You just can't do it. You just hit these jackpots. And
You just got to do the best you can.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. Like, there's no Salah out there. There's no Kevin De Bruyne out there. Like, so for us, the best that we can do is get Wirtz, right? And if Wirtz comes and he ain't that great, then you can't really moan at the board. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's the best player you can get. You just got to try and get the best player you can. If Wirtz turns us down, get the next best you can do. It's not rocket science. You just get the best player that you can possibly get. And if they're mint, they're mint. If they're not, what can you do? But you know, when you're replacing a player like Salah.
Liverpool, I think Liverpool, barring that bid they put in for what's the midfielder called? Caicedo.
Too many.
Crazy money.
Oh,
Put
Caicedo, yeah,
10 million, didn't they, for that? I don't think Liverpool are going to be spending that sort of money on anyone. Like, I mean, they spend 70 odd million on Nunes. You know, that's a white elephant ever. So that's an absolute donkey for signing it.
Well,
you know, people talk about Grealish who had a bit of a stinking time. That's up there with some of the worst signs.
He's got to be up there.
Liverpool have well and truly not.
Do you remember the Nunes versus Haaland that lasted about 4 weeks?
Because of the Charity Shield. It was based off one game in the Charity Shield, and it's
fucking Nunes come on in that Charity Shield, scored a goal, ripped his shirt off, and was like, yes, and everyone was like, yo, relax, it's the fucking Charity Shield, mate. Like, what we're doing here, and then everyone was cooking Haaland for that miss. And then, everyone was like, Nunes versus Haaland, whoa. And it literally lasted like 2 to 3
games. Won it because Haaland didn't score in the first 3 games.
It was just like, and then we all knew. That was the funniest like debate because like even Liverpool fans went, oh shit, we shouldn't have done this.
And then United fans saw that and still went, this Hoyland guy, he could be as good as Haaland. Like, it's mad that people still like. I think. And
it was even worse than Nunes. I don't know how they managed it. Yeah,
he is worse.
I think with Liverpool, like there is a chance that they do spend some big money to replace him because obviously they've brought in like Alisson was big money. Obviously these we don't care about these because they're hits, but they spent big money. They sorted Alisson for 60 mil when he was getting like record fee for a goalkeeper. Van Dijk was like 70 mil record fee for a centre back. You know they signed Soboslai was like 60 something mil, wasn't it? Naby Keita was like 50 odd mil, 60 mil. Like they've signed.
They don't get talked about enough for being an absolute stinker.
I really wanted him at City. I remember watching him in Germany, and he was fucking mint. And then
he did look good for Leipzig. To be fair, before he just turned into. He just became so injury prone once he came to England. But you know what I mean. They've spent big in like these positions. But I'm sure like Wijnaldum was like a fairly. No, he was like 35 mil, wasn't he? I think it's basically we've seen them spend big before, and I think you kind of have to spend big when someone like Salah's leaving. I think Nunes was their sort of attempt to match us signing Haaland. They knew they had to go big on a striker because if we're going to add the firepower of Haaland to our squad, they knew they had to do something similar. Obviously, is that the same year Mane went as well, so they sort of had that to contend with. So Mane went and they spent big on Nunes. Fucking hell, what are they going to do when Salah goes? Like, I mean, the worst case scenario is that them and Arsenal go head to head on Isak, and he makes it clear that he might be open to. And you know, let's say that Isak goes, yeah, you know what, maybe I am open to a move. I'm hoping he doesn't and just stays where he is. But you know, if Liverpool see Salah walk out the door, for example,
they aren't spending 150 million and 500 grand a week.
I think it all depends on if they get Champions League, Newcastle.
Yeah,
they do.
I genuinely think if you're Liverpool, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this means that they will, but I think if you're Liverpool, Isak is like a 7, 8, 9 year player that you've got there, just like locked in. Like you can, if it's 100 mil plus, like cool, because he's not a unknown like Nunes. He's someone who's like guaranteed a certain level of output and is known in the Premier League. And like you say, is an age profile where he isn't going to be like a 4 or 5 years and then done kind of player. Like he's got much longer in him. So I would say that if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be, and there was even an inkling that Isak was open to a move to Liverpool, I'd be begging for it. But yeah, fingers crossed that Isak just isn't open to a move. Full stop.
Yeah, all right, then.
Unless it's out of the Premier League, in which case, yeah, fine, off he goes.
Well, if it's me, and you know what's funny is like when I say this, all the rival fans go, "You only saying that because you wanted him out of the Premier League." I don't give a shit, mate. Yeah, I don't give a fuck who signs who. Yeah, I'm more bothered about my own club. But if I was Isak, I would genuinely, I would wait for Bayern or Barca, because you're looking at Bayern, you're looking at Barca. Lewandowski's going to be retiring soon. Kane sounds like he actually might be able to go back to the Prem for like 40 mil for his release clause. He's mad. So he's going to be able to go to one of them clubs and lead the line at that club for the next, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Yeah. And like, you guarantee trophies, especially at Bayern, you know. You probably are at Barca, but like, obviously you got Real Madrid and that, so you're probably less so. But like, that's what I do. And if you go Liverpool, you go Arsenal, there's no guarantee of trophies. So if it was me, I'd wait it out. But let's see what he does. I think it all depends on what Newcastle do in the Champions League, man. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's turn our attention to some City news. By the way, guys, smash these likes up if you've not done so already, man. Get these likes up. And 500 people in the building already. Let's get these likes to 150. You need 4 people out of 500 to get the likes up to 150. Big up to MCFC. So he asked the question, and there has been quite a bit of transfer news over the last couple of days. Obviously, you know, sources are sources. What can you do? We're just talking about the sources. But he says, yes, Braves, looks like we want a few homegrown players for the quota. Dibling, Branthwaite, Wharton are all linked so far. There's been 2 reports about Branthwaite in the last 2 days. So this is a very interesting topic when it comes to homegrown players, because you're only allowed 17 non-homegrown players in the Premier League, right? The rest have got to be homegrown, yeah. Now in the Premier League, if you're under 21, it doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter. Like, you're just on squad B list, like, it's fine. Champions League slightly different. If you're under 21, you're on the B list unless you're under 21 and haven't been at the club for more than 2 years. So players like Echeverri, players like Huzanov, players like Vita Hayes, they would still be classed as a non-homegrown player, even because they're under 21, because they've only just joined. So if you're looking at players like Grealish, who possibly might be leaving, you're looking at players like, Ake might be leaving, Walker leaving, Stones might be leaving. And I'm not saying they're all going to leave. I'm just saying these are the names that people like talk about potentially leaving. There is potentially going to be a situation where we might have to sign 1, maybe 2, probably 1. 1 will probably do it, but maybe 2 homegrown players. And that leaves us with a bit of a challenge, because what homegrown players are out there can we sign that are actually good enough to come into the side? And we're not just signing them because they're English or they're homegrown, because that's not a great strategy. That's not really a good squad planning. These are a couple of the names, obviously, that MCFC's shouted out. Branthwaite's an interesting one, because he's got 1 year left on his contract, and it sounds like he's ready for the move. There was big talks this summer that he potentially wanted out, but I don't think anyone met Everton's asking price. Well, that asking price is probably going to come down a little bit this summer, because obviously he's only got 1 year left on his contract. Sky Sports reported, I think it was yesterday or it might have been the day before, that Branthwaite is now basically saying that he wants to leave Everton because he's not getting selected for the England squad. And he's only 22. He's an option. Wharton's an option. Obviously, has been doing really well since he's come back from his injury. Dibling, I don't know anything about this guy. I've seen a couple of clips of him. Like, bro, he's another 19-year-old winger. I don't want him. You know what I mean? He's another 19-year-old winger. If I'm getting a winger, I want someone who's fucking older, Do you know what I mean? Who's been around the block a little bit, not another 19-year-old that we have to wait 3 or 4 years for to develop. We've got Bob, we've got Doku, we've got Savio. Don't need any more. So yeah, Pulpy, thoughts on some of these names, thoughts on homegrown players. Is there any other homegrown players that MCFC hasn't mentioned there that you like the look of? And what do you think about these 3 players, especially Branthwaite and Wharton, because they're probably a little bit more senior?
Of the 3 there, I mean, Branthwaite is the only one that we probably really need someone at the back. But then again, he's injury prone, right? And he's young. He's kind of in that John Stones mold, isn't he? I think. And we can't really argue that didn't work out for us. So if it wasn't any of those 3, I would take Branthwaite. If you're being realistic, Wharton, if he was to sign for us, where's he going to play? When's he going to play?
So I think Wharton...
Is he going to play like John?
Yeah, so Wharton would probably be that all-round player. So I don't know if you agree with me, Pulp, but I think in the summer we need another all-round player and a creator. So I think we need 2 midfielders. So he'd have to come in and be that all-rounder.
But is he that player, though?
Well, I don't know.
We've all been bigging up how good Nico's been. Are you going to get Wharton and he's going to take game time with him? I don't think we are. I just don't think that's in there. So in terms of Wharton, I just don't know. And this Dibling kid, fair play to him, might be a good player. I heard Tone talking before on the other thing that some of the Saints fans are saying he's not actually that good. So are we just sign him to get a homegrown player and essentially farm him out and make some money? I'd much rather somebody like that comes in, you're taking game time away from someone like Oscar Bob, and we all would be champing a bit to see Oscar Bob play, right? So, don't know. I think there's probably more suitable people out there, like Gahey, who's fully grown international footballer. He's been playing in a decent Crystal Palace.
Do you prefer him or Branthwaite?
I prefer him just because what is he, 25?
25, yeah.
24, 25?
Yeah.
And he's had significant amount of game time in the Premier League and internationally, whereas Branthwaite might have potential, but I think we need somebody to come in and potentially go straight into the first team, really, first 11, if we're going to do that.
Yeah.
I'd take Liveramento, who would tick those boxes.
Liveramento will be a decent signing, yeah. It costs a lot. But you know when it comes to the centre-back, like, I'm hearing people talk about Juma Bar and that, and I'm like, yeah, like another guy who's really young and that, and I'm like, I just think personally, I think we need a bit more of a senior centre back at the club, because it's like me personally, yeah, I'm just going into next season, and I'm sorry to do this, yeah. I'm just fucking in my head. Ake and Stones are injured, yeah. That's all I can.
Yeah, you just got to write them off and say if they're there, they're a bonus wrap.
If they're fit, great, yeah. But I can't go into next season when I'm doing my squad planning, yeah. If I'm like the squad manager, yeah, like the sporting director, whatever they're called. If I'm keeping those players, because I've already said this, like I'm game to keep them, but I've got to sign another one. I've got to just say, right, them 2 are going to be injured at the same time, because we all know Ake and Stones are going to be injured at the same time at some point next year. We all know that, right? So then what are you left with? I'm left with Vita Hayes, who, let's be honest, so far, Pep don't look like he really trusts him at the moment.
He's just young, right? He's young.
Yeah, he's young. So I'm saying he's not ready to step in now, and he's in play 10 games in a row at the moment. Not that what we've seen of. Juma Bar, like again, young player. Huzanov, young player. Again, we've got 3 wingers who all need development because they're all young, and then we've got all these centre backs that need development because they're all young. So I just think that, like, for me, if we're going to sign a centre back, there needs to be a little bit more.
It needs to be somebody who can come in and do the job straight away. A lot of this, like Juma Bar and Victor Hayes stuff. Too many people are on. You sign a youngster, he's going to be the next such and such a thing. It's all of a sudden it's straight away. It's they've signed his player. He is going to be the next Van Dijk. He'll be the next thing. He's the next thing. He's always the next. It's the next. Just fucking shut up and just let him be a player. You know what I mean? We don't need to constantly focus on the fact that we've signed this kid. He's going to be the next thing. It's always the next. It's next. It's just chill. You know, if he turns out to be a decent squad player, then we've done all right. Whereas I think we do need somebody to come in and be that number 1 centre back, because we are, realistically, if you look at it, you want Diaz on one side and you want somebody on the other. And if that's a Gahey, Konza's a decent shout. You know, somebody who's up and coming, who's English, who fits them bills. You need somebody to come in, and then if that doesn't work out, you have your Stones / Ake, and you have your Kusanov. You know, you have those players around who you know are actually decent, but you don't really want to rely on to be the number 1 pairing. So, yeah, I'd be more comfortable with having a decent standard centre back come in just to go straight into the team because I don't think we can. What's the point in signing 2 young kids if we're going to get another one?
Yeah,
know what I mean?
no, and I know, and obviously Branthwaite's a bit younger, right? He's 22, but he has been around. There's a difference between being young and inexperienced and just being like, young or whatever. Like, yes, he's young, but he has been playing for Everton now for like 4 years. I hear the issue with his injury record. That's got to be something that you've got to take into account when you've got players like fucking.
It is now for us. It is
Ake and
massively an
Stones.
issue for us now. We can't be bringing any more Crocs in. Can't do it.
That's the problem that you've got.
I actually want Branthwaite. I'm that guy. I think the fact that he's left-footed is big. Given that Pep clearly likes to have a right footer and left footer. To be fair, most players is Gray left-footed.
I'm sure Gray's
I don't know. He
He's
could
played
be,
left
but
centre back, and he's played less than.
I don't see Gay as much as much of a sort of ball playing centre back as Branthwaite is. I could be completely wrong there. I don't.
Did you not think he did really well in the Euros, though, Joe?
He was one of our best players, right? In that Euros.
I was so surprised at just how good he was.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I don't rate Gay or anything like that. I think if we signed Gay, I think if we signed him instead, I'd be like, all right, cool. Like, and I think for all the reasons that you've mentioned in terms of that he's had a lot more sort of senior level football. He's played. I think he's got double the Premier League minutes that Branthwaite has in terms of his overall career. Obviously, he's like 3-4 years older, but that's just how it is. I think, yeah. I'd be perfectly fine with us signing Gay instead, but I like Branthwaite. I think that it feels very John Stones-ish, which is good. Like in terms of having you have that guy, you've got him locked in for potentially 10 years, which is always quite nice for sort of long-term vision of the club, and he is good enough to sort of step in semi-immediately and like just sort of go straight in rather than a Hayes or. I mean, to be honest, you were saying there, Pulpy, about looking at having Diaz plus another guy. I almost think Kusanov already is that other guy. I think we're at a point where obviously he's 20, and the amount of football that we've seen from him is so little that you can't necessarily say that this is who he is and he will be at this level forever. He's going to have a dip at some point in form.
Of course you would.
But I think the biggest thing that Kusanov gives us is that recovery pace that's just left at that, like with Kyle Walker has just gone out the door. And I think that Pep is going to see that we only have one. Obviously, I'm assuming he's going to want to sign a fullback who may give us this option. But currently, if we don't, let's say the fullback that we sign in summer is this Cambiasso from Juventus, I'm going to wager is not as fast as Kusanov. I think that means that Kusanov is like the go-to guy for most of our big games or games where we have like the counter-attack being the main thing against us because that's what's going to be important for him. At that point, you then with like you've got a different problem then because Kusanov is going to be starting most games. Diaz is going to be starting virtually every game because I'm pretty sure he'll be made captain after this season if he isn't already.
Knocks this year.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be certain that his place is guaranteed.
I think so. I think in summer he'll be made captain.
I don't know, man. Something changed a little bit. There's been a slight drop off, and if Kusanov is this real deal, and you do bring somebody else in, then I wouldn't necessarily.
Yeah, but the thing is with the drop off thing, everybody in the squad's dropped off.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and that's maybe another. That's maybe a thing against sort of Kusanov is that maybe we're seeing a little bit of we're so like starved for anybody who's half decent at the moment that Kusanov coming in and looking like a competent defender means that we all think he's like Baresi reincarnated. But yeah, I think the thing is that if we're going to sign someone from the homegrown lot, obviously like in terms of a centre back, you're basically looking at Branthwaite or Gay, and I'm not really too arsed which one it is. I would probably prefer Branthwaite because I think that he gives us a couple more years. We've seen some players come in who we've been worried about the injury records beforehand, and they've been mostly fine while they've been here. Obviously, Stones and Ake players who are kind of at the tail end of their career who are now seeing that sort of come through a lot more. But Haaland came in and everyone was worried about his ankle like all the time because of how many times he'd done something like that at Dortmund, and we haven't really seen it be a problem other than maybe like a month or so last season. I think I would back our medical staff to be okay if the club think that they can handle that, then cool. Like I'm willing to sort of go with them on it. I don't hate the idea of signing Wharton as like another midfielder. I know that I think that no matter what, Pep has to be looking at Rodri's minutes from this point on. I think we can. I think we can't go in. We can't have seasons now where Rodri is just playing every minute of every game because we've got one. We have Nico in who can take some of the minutes off him.
Yeah.
And two, if we bring in Wharton to play alongside Nico in these games, then and also play some minutes alongside the base, there's plenty of minutes to go around with these positions. I don't hate the idea that Wharton is brought in as one of those midfield. Say if Kovacic is going to go in the summer, then cool. Like Wharton as a replacement for him, I'm absolutely fine with that. I know they're not the same type of player, but I'm fine with that sort of being the squad in and out kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, yeah. In terms of this Southampton guy, I don't care. Like, I'm not having another young winger. Like, fuck that. Yeah, like you say, we need someone who's like established and ready to go. Like, we need someone who can come in and will hit the ground running with numbers. It seems like this Southampton guy he's getting relegated. He's probably got a relegation release clause of like 10 mil. We're going to sign him. We're going to do we're going to do the Patrick Roberts thing and just sort of loan him out and make a profit.
Yeah, they're not going to bring him in, are they? And bring him into the squad when we've already got 3 development wingers. Like, that's not going to happen.
You know what it reminds me of? Remember a couple of years ago, we was linked with what's that guy who was at Burnley for years? I went to Everton.
No, I was going to say
the other guy,
Aaron Lennon.
No, he's playing.
No, the left winger.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking hate him, me.
What's he called?
What's his name? Oh, he's on my corner.
Dwight.
Dwight McNeil.
Dwight McNeil.
McNeil, that's the one.
Yeah, bro. He's on. Do you know them players that you have? Yeah, that you just really don't rate.
Similar sort of stiff winger.
Yeah, I really do not rate him at all. He's on my Conor Gallagher of how is he a footballer at a top level.
Conor Gallagher,
proper stiff winger.
Honestly, do you know, like everybody has those like players that like you'll speak to your mate and be like, give me a player that you don't rate. Like Dwight McNeil is on that list, yeah, and fucking Conor Gallagher's on that list. Like 2 players that I was watching, I'm like, how are you playing at like Athletic?
Both of those spot on, by the way. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. No, but you know,
it reminds me of that. He's a bit stiff.
Yeah, he's very stiff. You know, when it comes to the Branth, I think Branthwaite's probably got a higher ceiling than.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. I know it's like easy to say shit like that, yeah, but I think Branthwaite's probably got a higher ceiling. But if he's injured all the time,
yeah, do we need a high skill? Do we need a high ceiling, or do we need
just a
someone
player that can stay
who
fit?
can play every week? Who's going to be 7 out of 10?
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
You need those players.
You need those players.
Yeah.
That's what Akanji's been for the last 2 years now. Akanji's dipped this year, but everyone's fucking dipped. Like, that's what Akanji's been for the last 2 years. He's just come in Akanji, and he's just been solid. 7 out of 10. Yeah, he's got the odd bozo moment. He's got the odd mistake in him, but you know, nine times out of 10, the guy just puts in a solid shift. He can play right back, left back, centre back, and happy days, and he lets everyone else off the line. These players are really, really important. You know, so it depends what you want. If you're gonna go for that, we're going to buy Branthwaite because we think he could go like to one of the best world class centre backs. Fairs, but the risk is he's not going to be fit. When you've got Ake and John Stones who are picking up injuries, then you've got Diaz, who's now starting to pick up a few injuries this season as well. Is that really the right signing, or do you go and get like a Mark Guay? Again, we're only saying them 2 players because we're talking about if you go and get a homegrown one. Obviously, there are non-homegrown centre backs that you could potentially go and buy. But yeah, I definitely think that the centre-back situation is an interesting one. I completely agree with Joe on Huzanov. You're going to have to play it now to the end of the season because we've got no fucking players. Yeah. But I would play Huzanov now every single game now to the rest of the season because I need to see, from my own personal point of view, is like, he's come in, he's done quite well, I think. You know what I mean? He's had a few mistakes here or there, but for the whole part, I think he's actually done really well. I need to know now for the rest of the season, all right, has that just been a decent start or is he the real deal? And I think he's got 10 games left. Big game on Sunday against Bournemouth under pressure. We got battered there in the league, 4 months ago, whatever. If he get to the end of the season and actually I'm sitting there at the end and going, you know what? Actually, maybe Huzanov Diaz is the partnership. You know, do I go and get a Branthwaite? Do I go and get a Guay? Or am I going buying another Akanji? But I don't really know what to do in that centre back position yet until probably the end of the year.
So Newcastle tried saying Gay, didn't they? They if it weren't for the money, they'd be there right now. Yeah. There's a few that's had a nibble at him, haven't they? Chelsea have tried.
Maybe. I think did he used to play for Chelsea?
He was from Chelsea's academy, yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Chelsea have had a nibble to try and get him again, and they've been sniffing around him now.
And they'll be in the market.
Liverpool are going to be in the need for a centre back if Van Dijk or Canati, like you mentioned before, they're looking.
Yeah,
Because
at least they
Quanson's
won't be in
absolute
for
dog shit, innit?
Branthwaite.
So he's not getting in there.
Yeah.
So this team's sniffing, and Spurs will look at him as well. I'm sure Spurs wanted him last season.
Yeah.
So
United,
the team's
though,
willing
we're
to
in
chuck
for.
money at this Gahey. So, you know.
So do we want to be in a bidding war? Like, do we want to end up in a bidding war of someone who might not be our starting centre back?
We'll just do what we did. This is our price. We don't give a shit what everybody else wants to pay.
Yeah, but that often doesn't get us a player. That's the problem. So like we end up in a situation then when
I don't know. It's one of them, isn't it? But
the problem is both of these players, by the way, don't necessarily walk straight into our first team.
Yeah. This is the thing. If Branthwaite's got us and United to look at, for example, Branthwaite knows he's playing every game for United because United is shocking. And likewise with Gay and United or Chelsea, like he's walking into those teams because he's better than everyone who they've got. For us, we've got Diaz, Kusanov. When Stones is fit, he's probably got walking into the starting 11. Ake, like, you know, there's obviously those two players aren't necessarily always available, but we're in a position where I think, and as well because of that, I think that makes Branthwaite a better possibility because we're looking at a player who's got 1 year left on his deal. We're not going to have to break the, signing him is probably going to take 30, 40 million, maybe looking at like 45, something like that. That's not horrendous, like for a player who's going to be third, choice, maybe third, fourth choice, second choice, left centre back. I don't know. It's a much more palatable amount of money than I think when Newcastle being quoted like 65 mil for 70 mil. I mean, we're not paying that.
If it broke tomorrow and said City are paying 70 million, it's English tax, right? He's an England international centre back who's arguably going to start most international games now because Stones and Maguire don't exist internationally.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about it. England are a top 4 team in the world in terms of ranking. I think something like that. Are they? Maybe something close to that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And you've got English tax and the fact that he's not playing for one of the big teams, and eventually he will do. So somebody will pay it. So I don't think the money's an issue for Gahey if you pay 70 million.
I think it is though, because if you're City and you're not signing a guy who walks straight into your starting 11, you aren't paying 70 mil. Like it's just that. It's
English tax, isn't it? You just can't. You're just gonna have to suck.
No, but that's
home. We're desperately looking for homegrown players, right? If we need to do it, you might as well get somebody who's decent.
But when you have a choice between Gay or a half price Branthwaite, like who potentially has a higher ceiling and is a few years younger. I mean, it's not that it's not like when it's Harry Maguire and it's like we have to pay 80 million or whatever United is that they paid in the end, or we don't get him. Like we literally genuinely do have another potential option who is elsewhere, who is going to be available for a lot cheaper. And when there will be multiple clubs who will pay whatever Crystal Palace want for Gay this summer.
Yeah, he's moving. This summer he's going. I mean, it's just
I just can't imagine that we will be one of them, given that price will probably be 70, 75 million. Because if we're looking for a player who, basically, if we're going to spend 70, 75 million on a centre back, he is 100% going to have to play every single game, and we're not looking for that guy. I don't think.
No, but that's what I'm saying. This is why I'm saying I don't really know what we're looking for at the moment because I'm unsure on Huzanov and I'm unsure on Diaz in terms of his fitness and can he get back to his top form. So for me, this last couple of months, obviously there's not a great deal to play for in terms of like getting us mad excited. You got the FA Cup, which I'm desperate to win because obviously players are going to be leaving.
We need to get Champions League.
And you need to get Champions League. So like that's just a case of just fucking finishing the top 5. No one's going to be mad celebrating it. But for me, it's more a case of like, I will find out at the end of the season what level of centre-back do we need to get. Again, are we going to go and buy a big centre-back for 70 mil who's going to walk straight into the team? Or are we going to buy another Akanji? You know what I mean? Another guy who's just there, can do a job.
Somebody who's just practical.
Yeah, someone like that. But at the moment, I don't really know. And that's why I want to see Huzanov a lot for the rest of the season. Vita Hayes, I still think he's probably going to be a player next year that's probably not going to play too much. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if he went out on loan, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? From what people are saying, I've not seen anything of this Juma Bar, but people are telling me, what I'm hearing is that just Juma Bar seems a bit more ready for the Premier League than actually Vita Hayes does at the moment.
I wouldn't be surprised if you never see Juma Bar at the City ground, at the City Academy ever again.
No, I completely agree.
I'm not going to be surprised, but people are hyping him up big time. I know people hype him up.
Yeah, but they will do, won't they? Because he's City of signed a youngster. Like I said before, City signed a youngster is now the next best thing in the world. You know what I mean?
But I would say
Also-
Juma Barr's profile does fit the type of centre
Yeah,
back
he's an
I'm looking
absolute
for.
animal, isn't he? But
6'5", beast type of player. That is the
Yeah.
type
I
of
just think
player.
it
That's, by
stinks
the
of
way,
him going
that's
on loan somewhere in
Branthwaite.
Spain and having a decent season and getting sold for 35 million to Athletic 100, and then he goes on to have a great career or something like that, and just
Yeah.
never touches a City shirt in his life.
Another thing is a lot of people in the comments are talking about this Dean Huyson, whatever his name
Too
is,
young,
the Bournemouth
man,
guy.
for me.
Yeah, mate, the guy's played. So I'm looking at he's played less than 40 games in the top flight of any competition, like full stop.
Nah,
Like he is
too
not
young.
a guy to come. He is not the guy to come in and be. He's a guy who, if we could get him for like 30 mil, and he was happy to
It's
be like
Kusanov,
our
innit?
fourth
It's
choice
Kusanov
centre back.
signing,
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
like
If he was gonna be our Kusanov level guy, then sweet.
Yeah.
But we need someone who, as LB and Pulpy have both said, we need someone who can come in and be, you know, a proven level defender. And half a season for Bournemouth is not that. Like it's just he's just like he's looking good.
Let
At
someone
his-
else take a
in
chance
his-
then, because we don't need him.
Yeah. 50,
Yeah.
Is it 50 mil his release clause as well? Like I'm not being
Something
funny.
like
Like
that,
that's too.
yeah.
That's a big risk for someone who hasn't played that much
Yeah.
Premier League football.
Yeah, nah, I agree. I'd be interested to see what happens. You know what I mean? Like with the centre back situation this year. I think there is a world where if he does trust Vita Hayes, he might just not buy a centre back at all. Because if he trusts
That is possible.
if he trusts Vita Hayes, I think if he doesn't, for me, if he doesn't trust Vita Hayes, he needs to buy a centre back. If he does, he might look at it and go, "I've got Vita Hayes, I've got Huzan, I've got Diaz, I've got Akanji, I've got Ake, I've got Stones." Like fucking hell! Like if I end up in another injury crisis, then
Yeah, well,
that is...
three of them just make one player between them, right? So Stones, Ake, and Akanji kind of just make
No,
one.
I think
decent-
I think I think it's a bit
In
unfair.
terms of
on
injuries and
Akanji.
just
Yeah, but
I don't know,
Akanji's
man.
been pretty good. I think Akanji's problem this year is he's been playing with injuries because
Yeah.
there's been no play. I think if Akanji comes back next year and he doesn't have to play with injuries, which he shouldn't have to do because you've got fucking 6 centre backs,
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
think he should be fine. Stones and Ake, obviously they're always going to get injured, especially Stones. But I think for me, yeah, if he trusts Vita Hayes, it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't sign a centre back and he just runs with it again.
And I like what I've seen of Hayes so far. Like obviously, we've only seen bits in cup competitions, but he looks composed on the ball. He looks like he looks like a player.
You know what?
who-
He's vocal as well. I've seen him in them games. He's
Yeah.
vocal. He's happy to chat and talk and tell people he don't give a shit how old he is.
He
Like,
came through.
Yeah.
He came through Palmeiras'
yeah, he's
youth setup as a
he's
captain
one of them,
all the way
he's
through.
a leader on the pitch. You can just tell he's got
Yeah.
that in him. He's that.
Yeah.
He's not phased by other more sort of professional players. He's just like, I'm here to stay. You know what I mean? I've been brought up well. I know how to play football. I might be young, but
Yeah.
I will tell you if you're out of position. I will tell you where I want the ball. I will tell you where to go. You know what I mean? And we need.
I think
we
if
need
you're in a
that, 'cause we
position
don't get
where-
enough of it.
I think if you're in a position where, like, you can say Stones and Ake are like half a player each in terms of fitness, then going into the season with five centre backs because you've got Diaz, Kusanov, Akanji, Hayes, and now you've got
Yeah, well,
so you had the other one made up of Stones and Ake. I think
you've got
that's
Guardiola
fine.
in a crisis. We could go into centre half as well. So we are covered if players are fit and available.
The main thing is that you need a right back and you need someone who can take some fucking minutes off Guardiola because he cannot just do another
That's
season.
why
like
I
this
think
got
they'll
three right
definitely
backs, Joe.
they'll get
Got three right
Cambiasso.
backs, mate.
They'll get Cambiasso. I think they'll get Cambiasso because Cambiasso literally solves that problem, Joe.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
can play
do
right
both,
back,
can't he?
and then if you want to rest Guardiola, play Cambiasso left back, and then you play.
You
whoever
got
right
Ake as
back.
well. If Ake is staying, you got Ake you can play on the left as well.
Yeah,
Be quite
Yeah.
comfortable there.
and I'd actually quite like to see Akanji go and have some games back at right back. I actually really rate.
Oh,
him.
mate,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Position is right back in it. I think it
actually
is.
Yeah.
think he's pretty good,
Yeah.
man, in that right back position. Akanji.
Not a
So,
right,
yeah,
not a right back, a right defender. He's not
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah,
one of the
yeah,
right
exactly.
centre back. Yeah, the right.
yeah,
right
just
defender,
chill back and just do your basic. Like he's
Yeah.
just that guy. You like right, Akanji. You just do your thing in it. You know what I mean? Just defend. Don't do anything stupid in it. And most of the time he'll do that.
Over the halfway line, yeah.
Yeah, Champions League final, he might go on, Ederson, you get the ball. Oh shit, you're not getting the ball. Oh fuck, you know what I mean? Like he did in the Champions League final. But no, I think get Cambiasso in, and that they might just run it at that. But it all depends on if they trust or going to give some game time to Vita Hayes.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, right? Like I know Vita Hayes not played a lot. We paid fucking 30 million quid for this guy.
Yeah.
You can't.
That's
be
why I
spending
don't think.
30
That's why I
million
don't
quid
think he
and-
goes out on loan. Yeah.
No, exactly. You can't be spending 30 million quid on a defender and just be like, "Soz, mate, never playing you." Like, what would the point? You know what I mean? Why are you spending
Yeah.
30 million quid on this guy?
How
Like, this,
old was he when we bought him? He was 18.
18.
I think he was 18. Yeah.
So if you think about it, that homegrown thing is you have to have 3 years at a club before under 21 years old, don't you?
Is it not 2 years? I thought it was 2
It's
years.
3 years. It's sure it's
3
three,
years,
three years trained at your club under the age of 21 to then become a homegrown player.
It's 2 years to qualify for the Champions League.
Champions
but
League, but in
After
terms
three,
of
after
Premier
three
League-
he'll be Premier League homegrown.
So when he
like-
gets to 21 years old and he's still at the club, he will be classed as homegrown. Even though he's Brazilian, he will be
That's
classed as
massive,
homegrown.
that,
Like
yeah, that's
Ake
massive,
was. Ake's obviously Dutch, but when he was at Chelsea as a kid, he obviously qualified as a homegrown for being playing at Premier League teams and English teams by being under 21, but having 3 seasons. So that, I imagine, is what the reason is that we've got Hastings at 18 to make him, give him a future and let him be a homegrown player.
Yeah. Listen, I'd be down. Big up Ed, yeah. He says Cambiasso at 18. I'd be down for Aina and Cambiasso 100%. I think that'd be fucking
Aina is just like not doing anything for me. Like I know he'd be a free, I know he'd be a free, but it just screams like signing a player to have a player. Like
You don't rate him?
No.
I think he's fine, but he's 29 and like having one good season for Forest. Like I don't look at him and think, wow, you should be a Manchester City player.
Might as well sign Chris Wood as well. If you're going off that, we might as well sign Chris Wood. You know what I mean? That's it. I've had one good season, sign him. Get him.
Let's be, yeah,
I would sign Chris
play a
Wood.
squad.
Chris Wood's actually not the worst.
I was saying fucking sign Edin Dzeko, mate. By the way, you see Edin Dzeko got punched up. You see that?
Oh, mate, got his nose broken. It's mad.
Bro, that was mad. And he done something to his wrist as well. Or the guy was
Yeah.
in the wars, man. Yo, big up Edin Dzeko, mate. Yeah, obviously slamming it over in Turkey. Yeah.
Turkey. Yeah, he's still at Fenerbahce, isn't he?
Big up to him. Let me come to some of these chats, man. Big up to LB. Says, get me Bellanova. He's such a good right back. I think I've seen him play once. He's got a sick name. I'll give him that. But I don't really know too much about him. Atalanta, yeah. Apparently, he's pretty decent, to be fair. And he has got a sick name. Bellanova's name. So, I don't know much about him, no. Big up to you. Big up to MCFC. Says that Chris Wheeler report also said we're looking at Trincao. Portuguese sources say we're saying this a few weeks ago, as in and as in more homegrown options, maybe Aina as a free, as a second fullback signing. Well, you know the Trincao thing, yeah. I've never seen this guy play. I never fucking heard this guy's name until about 2 weeks ago. However,
you did see him play. He played for Wolves, didn't he, on loan? That's it in Trincao from Barcelona.
I'm not sure.
Is that Francisco Trincao, the winger?
Is it the same one, or is it somebody different?
Lisbon, he's at.
Is it someone?
Now you've said that does ring a bell that he played for.
Yeah,
Wolves.
it is Francisco Trincao.
He was an absolute honker at Wolves, honking player.
Right, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want him. What I'm saying is, though, if we was to sign a winger, he is in the age profile of the winger that I want to sign. A bit older, he's 24.
25.
25. That's why I don't want to sign Dibling, mate, because he's too young.
Yeah, because Barca signed him, didn't they? And then he basically didn't get any game time because they still had Messi at this point.
Yeah.
Went to Wolves on loan, was stinky. Went to Sporting, was not stinky, and then signed for Sporting and has not been stinky since then. So, yeah.
Yeah, but
again, sick name, but is he actually any good? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think that's a pipe dream and just linked to him because he's Portuguese, and
Sporting
I imagine the Portuguese profile player is going to be something we're going to be looking at a lot of over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So
I just don't think we'll sign a single player from Lisbon. I think it's too easy of we've got Viana and now we're going to sign all these players from Lisbon. I'm like, what? Nah. If anything,
does feel like easy links, doesn't it?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I reckon City probably said to Lisbon, like, don't worry, man, we ain't going to be a dickhead and come and like raid all your players.
Don't worry, your players are shit. We're not that interested. We took your best thing by signing.
Yeah. But we have been linked with him a couple of times, that Trincao, so keep your eye on it. But I don't see it.
I'd be very disappointed if we signed him.
Would you?
Yeah.
I think if we signed him, I'd ultimately be like, right, well, we signed him, so obviously we see something in him, so cool. But
personally, right now, I'm not looking and going, nah, not for me. But if City want him, then obviously there's something in that.
Yeah, it would be a little bit of an underwhelming name, though.
Yeah, because the thing is, right, for me, when it comes to the winger situation, me and Martin were speaking on the space. If we're signing a winger, I don't want a project winger. We've got 3 projects as it is: Doku, Bob, and Savio. So we're signing a winger.
Give me a Mahrez.
Give me a fucking guy that's ready to go and get me 20 G&A a season. Yeah, we need that legit guy. Like, that's the point. That's the point on the wingers. Like certain other areas of the squad, maybe you can get a younger player. You want an all-rounder in midfield, maybe you can get a younger player, right? But the wingers, you don't want another young winger that you've got to develop. You got 4 then.
You needed somebody like that Kvaratskhelia. He was the one that you think he's just gone straight into Paris Saint-Germain.
Exactly. I said sign him, and people was telling me it was
that's
a
the sort of player you want
Grealish
at that
man.
profile where you can just go in there and just light the place
Exactly.
up.
And then the other 3, can fight it out and obviously rotate with him. And then you can develop the 3 and you've got your one guy. That's what Grealish should be now. And Grealish should be playing week in, week out. And then he obviously gets a bit of rest. And the other 3 just fill the spaces on the other 2 positions, rotating with Grealish. You can't buy another rotator. And if you're going to buy this, a bit of an older player, then is this guy really good enough? No, I don't know. Some people say yes, some people say no. I've never seen the guy play. But that's where I'm at with the winger situation. They go to Aaron, says Gvardiol will become injury prone the more we. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if there's been any updates on that. He did apparently get injured for Serbia. Is it Serbia or Croatia? Croatia. He got injured for Croatia. I don't know the update on it, but that was always going to happen, unfortunately. He's only not played.
He's done well to avoid getting injured up to this point.
Oh, it's been amazing, but no one can be really surprised. We've been saying it for fucking months that he's going to get injured at some point because we've not been able to rest him because Ake keeps on getting injured and Kanji keeps on getting injured.
He's got to be in red zoning since September, right?
The sports scientist at Manchester City would have been fucking going mad, mate. Every single time they spoke about him, they would have been saying, "Look, red zone, Gvardiol," and it's been a miracle that he's lasted this long. So
just on that, I think. Oh no, that'd be the game we did come off. He came off in the 106th minute for Croatia on Sunday, didn't he? Was that when he was supposedly limped off?
Yeah, and the manager apparently did confirm that he was injured.
Ah, right. All right. Well, yeah. Well, shit.
Yeah, there you go with that one. I built 12B as well. Says, bro is married already. Pep will love that. Is that about Vita Hayes? Yeah, Vita Hayes got. Is he been married or is he?
I think he's got engaged. Kusanov's married. Yeah,
Kusanov's married. Yeah, Huzanov is married, and I think Vita Hayes has just got engaged. I think.
Yeah.
So GG's to them. GG's to them. Promote O'Reilly, bro. I've been saying this for time, innit? Yeah, promote him. So see if he gets. See if he gets in the game time. There was a little bit of news that came out earlier on today. It's kind of like a bit weird about Echeverri, lads. Newspaper in Italy saying apparently he might be going on loan to Lazio. Now, as far as I'm aware, the reasoning for them saying that is because he went on holiday.
Because he was in Italy. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought they came in.
I don't know if I've got that right. I don't know if there's like anything in the actual article.
It looks like the international break has come round and he's thought, right, I've got a free 2 weeks after having played the under-20s World Cup not long ago, or student like Copa America, whichever one it was that he played. And he's just thought, you know what? I'm going to go and explore my Italian heritage and go to Rome. And they've gone, right, that guy's going out on loan to Lazio. And I think I'm 99% sure that City Extra tweeted this, that an Argentinian reporter has since come out and said that has denied it and said that he's going to have a pre-season in Manchester City and that no loan has even been, is on the cards. So it feels like it was just very much spotted in Italy, therefore must be going on loan to an Italian club. Where's near Rome? Lazio. It was just they tossed a coin on Roma or Lazio and just went with Lazio. I don't know. I mean, it could be that he ends up out on loan, but I think loaning him out before giving him even a pre-season or the Club World Cup to even show what he can do would be insane, personally.
Yeah. This is just.
I am concerned about LB's sort of mental health here on this one if he does end up going out on loan, because I've never seen a guy be so passionate about one player in my life and all those watch alongs and stuff you've had.
That one there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have it.
Yo, what are you trying to say, mate?
Honestly, yeah, I do fear for you, LB, if he does not play football for this club. Like, it is.
Fucking hands off him now! Fucking hands off it!
Yeah, you and Danny are going to be in the trenches if this goes through. I think it's possible. It's always possible, but we've all got to accept that if he goes out on loan, his career at City is done. Like, he's not coming back if he goes out on loan.
I don't think he will be loaned. I don't think he will. I think he'll get the Listen, I would obviously like to see him in the squad now because, to be honest with you, I think he'd help us. To be honest with you, yeah, I think he would help us, but he should definitely be in the matchday squads, in my personal opinion. I think he'll come to the Club World Cup and get involved then. I think my prediction is this. Pep will play him left wing. He'll be shit. Everyone will say he's shit. And everyone will be like, oh, but you hyped him up, he's shit. And I'll be like, he's playing left wing, just like we did when Cole Palmer played left wing. And then he'll get sold. And they'll be like, I'll say something like, that's at L. He'll go on to be mint. People will be like, oh, he's not that good. He'll go on to be mint. And then people will say, stop talking about it. Like I think he does with Cole Palmer.
I think next year, he's 19 now. So I think surely I would hope that after a pre-season, after having had the second half of this season just training with the team and being around them, maybe he gets a bit of time in the Club World Cup. I don't know. I would like to think that Pep looks at him and goes, this is your point of the season. This is your season where you get like the Cole Palmer minutes that he got in that treble season where was it treble season the year before that? I can't remember when he left. Where you get like the cup games, you get kind of the minutes that James McAtee's getting right now, where you're being brought on the bench for like the last 10, 15 minutes, maybe half an hour here and there if things are going well. And then from there, you get an idea of how much he can play football in the Premier League and then sort of go from there, blah, blah. I would like to think that is the route that happens with Echeverri because I think he's got a lot of hype and I've not watched much football for him, but I think that the fact that he was such, obviously like it's an under-20s competition, so there's only so much you can take from it. The fact that he was such head and shoulders above like the rest of that competition shows that he is by far and away above the level of sort of the equivalent
He's a special
of his
player,
age.
man.
He needs exposing to men's football.
Yeah,
I think playing in the Argentinian league he was at.
Yeah, Argentinian league. Yeah.
Let's be honest, that standard isn't obviously anywhere near what the standard is. What we have here, I'd argue, what is it, championship level at best?
Probably,
I think probably even lower than that, Scott. You know,
I think it's a difficult league to assess because it's the old school football, man. It's like watching football.
Yeah, but it's not anywhere near the standard needed to be able to say you can walk straight into City's team. You know,
but sometimes
Alvarez was kind of an exception to that.
Yeah,
but,
no, I hear that. But sometimes when you see
neither was the international stuff against the 20s. You know what I mean? That's kind of that standard was probably less than what he was. I think
the problem is, and they like. Sometimes you've got to take a risk on a player. Like sometimes you've got like look at Arsenal. Like they're bringing in fucking Nwaneri at the age of like 17. Is it when he started just bringing in his first games? Like and he's looking like someone who is rewarding that sort of faith in him. Man. Fucking Lewis. I know Lewis Skelly was kind of someone who's been put at left back out of necessity because of injuries, but they could have put like a Kivior at left back or another centre back out there. Move Timber over there. I don't know, but instead. They put the academy kid at left back, and look at him now. Like he's been England's best player for these last couple of games. He looks unreal, and I think that I just think that there's some situations, and City will never. I'm screaming into the void here because Pep will never fucking do this. But sometimes you just gotta go. You know what? Yeah, let's give him a shot. Why not? Let's see what happens. Let's just put him in his preferred position for a game in the Premier League, and we've got between now and the end of the season, we've got. Fucking nothing, like I say, almost nothing to play for. We've got to get the top 4, but then if we get to a point where that's relatively locked in, just give fucking Echeverri a game or two.
The thing is with Echeverri is that you've got to realise that you've got a player on your hands here who could legitimately be super special. Like this guy is potentially a future Ballon d'Or winner. The way he plays football, like he has that blue sky potential of being the best player in the world. Like that's his potential. Now, is it likely that he's going to... I've already said plenty of times on the chat, I know I've said this, I gas him up, but I've already said I think this guy's either going to make it and be one of the best players in the world. I don't think he's going to make it at all. I've said that plenty of times. I don't see a world in which he's just an okay player because I think if he's either going to work and just be mint or he's not going to work. Yeah, but if he works, you've got a 150, 200 million pound player on your hands because that's the type of player he is. He's a type of player that will dribble past 3 or 4 players and score. Yeah, that's the type of player that he could be. And I think when you've got a player like that, you've got to just throw him in and just see what happens. Now, I'm not saying like start him at Sunday or whatever, but I'm saying get him in the matchday squad. Yeah, that's one thing that we could be doing right now, right? Is getting him in that match day squad, even if Pep says, I'm bringing you because I want you to experience English football. I want you to be sat in the stands. I want you to watch the football match. Do you know what I mean? And watch the play and understand how the game's played rather than watching it on TV from your flat in Manchester. Yeah. And then, train before the game, just getting him involved with that sort of stuff. And then maybe you bring him on for 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the end of a game. And then you say, right, Club World Cup's going to be your time or whatever. And then you go into next season. But I think it'd be mint going into next season with Foden, Wirtz and Echeverri as 3 options that you could rotate in that sort of middle creative area. I don't think that's too many players at all. Do you know what I mean? I think that's fine. Foden will get used on the wing as he always does, right? And we can actually, a lot of the game, people, I don't know why people do this. A lot of the games, you can play 2 of them. You can play 2 of them. People forget that we used to play David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne in the same team, And by the way, David Silva and De Bruyne, they weren't on the wings. They were in the midfield. And Rodri or Fernandinho, whoever it was just chilling behind it, just covering it. Like, you might not do that in every game. You know what I mean? The massive games, you might want to play Gonzalez with Rodri, just have that extra bit of protection. Then one of them gets dropped. Well, Foden gets dropped. Kevin De Bruyne gets dropped now. No one has a problem with it now. No one says, oh, well, Foden's going to leave in the summer because Foden's been dropped loads of times this year. Kevin De Bruyne's been on the bench loads of times. No one has a problem with it this year. But as soon as you say something like bring Echeverri in and have Wirtz and Foden and just have them just rotate in, and obviously, Foden can play on the wing as well. People sort of seem to think that you've got too many players on your right. I just don't buy it. I don't believe you've got too many players there if you have them 3 in that midfield.
Yeah,
I don't think we see much of him at all this season. If he's in it, he's going to be in a match day squad. I don't think he gets anywhere near. Let's if you think about it, if Guardiola's injured, then that's a space in the squad. Who missed out in the last game we had? Didn't McAtee miss out on the match day?
Yeah, McAtee wasn't involved in the match day. In a match
you'd
day
imagine
for the first time.
If one goes out, one comes in. That's going to be that. So is the next person after that? Is it going to be him? Did Oscar Bob get in that match day squad?
Nah, I don't think he was.
So Bob's going to be.
He's not made the bench yet.
So Bob's probably going to be next in the pecking order. So I would think it's going to be unlikely that we're going to, and then you may be getting other players coming back from injury before that as well.
Yeah, but remember,
I just don't think we're going to see him towards the end of the season.
You're right. But going into next year, Grealish should be gone, and I don't think we will sign a winger, so that'll be Grealish for Bob.
Yeah, there's room there. I think the Club World Cup is where he's had 4 months in the Premier League, in a Premier League team, in the training, understanding the way they play, understanding that, and playing against men. And understanding Pep's philosophies and stuff. He's got 4 months there, and he'll have a bit of a run out in the Club World Cup, I'd imagine. Because even that sort of throws up things like De Bruyne might not even be eligible to play for some of the games, you know what I mean? So we're going to have space and we're going to have time there. And no doubt players will be injured, so I think that's more likely.
Yeah, the Club World Cup feels like the place, because we're going to play against... We're playing against some shitters in that tournament.
Yeah, we're playing against
some teams we should be...
League One teams, aren't we, in that?
Yeah, we should be... I mean, that's
I don't think we have, I think we've got pretty. Let me check.
No, the other two teams are obviously they're on merit, but
a couple of them are garbage. Like, we have got Juventus is one of the teams, definitely, but then there's a couple at least that are just teams we shouldn't.
We've got Al Ain. Oh, that's the team from UAE, is it?
Yeah.
People are going to get rattled when they realise that. Yeah, they're from the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, that's going to be a laugh.
And why, Dad? Don't know where.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. Like, so we've got two teams there who we should be, but also, regards to that, I just want us to fuck this competition off. I want us to just not even like the
Club World Cup.
Money, mate. I do not. Nah, mate. I just do not care.
Like, we've got winning it. Oh, mate, just think.
I really don't care. Like, we've got enough money as it is. Like, it's fine.
We're going to win a new one, mate.
Not bothered.
The thing is, for me, I'm not sitting there saying, "Oh, come on, we need to win it." But like, if we're entering it, if we're entering that competition, we're sending the boys over there to play the games. Like, at least try and win the fucking tournament.
If we're going to be at this competition, which we have to be because we're invited to it and we've got to do it, I think off the back of this season in particular, where we've been shit and we've been in desperate need of these players to have a serious rest after this season, I don't want us to go all out in this post-season competition.
Part of the participation thing that you've got to play your best teams.
They can say that, but they can't. They can say that, but that doesn't mean it. Like that's like when the Premier League, when like you say like, oh, you can't throw a game by putting a shit team out. Like, yeah, exactly. Like you can City can put out our B team, and we've still got like internationals on 150, 200
That's
grand a
true
week.
though, Joe. When you're in the middle of a rebuild where you're going to
free
spend
player.
another,
It's a free player.
it's a free
Don't
player.
you
It's
just
a
get
free
isn't the participation money like 80
it's
mil
50
on
million
its
for
own?
playing? Is it 50 million? Everyone gets 50 mil, don't they, for playing or something?
Sweet 50.
You know what? You know what I do, Joe. Let me do your deal. Yeah, this is what I do, right? So what I do in these games, I'd play a lot of the players that have been injured this year. So I'd play Ake because Ake's not played too many games this year. Yeah, like so I'd play him. I would play players.
This is what I mean.
Like,
I'm not saying like we'll
Nunes
put.
plays, Kanji plays, players
Yeah, I'm
like
not
that.
saying I'm not saying play all the kids, but
Nico will play.
this is it.
No,
But I'm just thinking, let's not put the starting 11 out for this game. Let's not put the best 11 out.
Rodri will play.
That's fine, but if he's going to get a couple of minutes under a couple of games under his belt, some fitness, cool. But I'm just saying, I don't want us to give everyone who's played like thousands of minutes this season more minutes.
Like Gvardiol,
in every game.
He can chill. He don't need to play in the club World Cup. Gvardiol, like we hear that.
The problem is our defense, because all of our defense, like if I want to see Kuznov and Hayes be our centre backs, I don't want to see all these guys who've had injury problems all season play however many more games. I don't want to see I don't want to see Gundogan. Well, maybe actually Gundogan, maybe to be fair, but I don't want to see like De Bruyne fucking like kill himself even more for this in this tournament.
Well, he's gone anyway, isn't he? He's probably not going to be here.
Well, he is going anyway. Yeah,
his contract
expires
halfway for the tournament, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah, so he's got to extend his contract before the tournament starts.
But then going further forward, like I say, I want to see. I want to see Echeverri come in and get some minutes. I want to see Bob come back in and get some more serious minutes. I want to see even McAtee. I want to see him get a chance to show that he might have something to contribute.
Yeah, them two games are for those players, right?
These are players. Give Doku some like B minutes. I don't care. Like you know what I mean. Just like I want to see these players who just like who I'm like, are you even good enough, or can we keep you next season? I want to see these guys get minutes in this competition. So look, if we don't win the Club World Cup, then like cool. Like I'm really not bothered.
I'm not like dying to win it, but like I'm still entering the competition to try and win it,
How many games have we got left then this season? Is it 8 in the Premier League?
8 in the Premier League.
And then potential 3 FA Cup games, right?
Yeah, plus an FA. Oh no, is it 29 games?
It's 9. It's 9 in the Premier League.
9, isn't it? Yeah.
9
in the Premier League plus...
and then potential 3 FA Cup games.
Yeah, so max is 12. And then obviously like minimum 3 after the season is Club World Cup.
Yeah, okay.
The problem is as well, by the way, if you win the FA Cup, you've then got to fucking enter the Community Shield.
We do that. That's always that'll just be our first competitive game, or that'll be our first, always like the first friendly now, isn't it? We're never going to be fit and ready. We just get lads that are coming in off holiday that morning.
You know what they need to do? Yeah, they need to try and get a couple of. I know this might be tricky because you've only got 10 days, but they need to try and get a couple of players in that little transfer window that they've got. Before the World Cup start, Club World Cup.
It's a week, innit? Yeah, I imagine it will do business then.
They've got a week where they can sign players, where they've got their own little transfer window, and they really need to try and get a couple of players. And if they can get 2 in, like, I'm not being funny, that can be us. But the problem is they're probably not going to want to sell Cambiasso because they're in it anyway.
Because they're playing against us in the competition, yeah.
They're probably not going to want to sell him.
He will.
I'm trying to think of. They might do it. To be fair, but I don't know. Trying to think who else we've even been linked with. But like your goalkeeper, for example, if you can try and get your goalkeeper in, because this goalkeeper situation is starting to stress me out, because we might need 3 goalkeepers this summer,
I said that, didn't we? Months ago when we did like a weight, you asked me how many players, and I said maybe 11. I said 2 of them would be goalkeepers. It's like 2 of these, we need 2 goalkeepers. We do.
How mad is it that they're going to have to basically beg Carson to stay, mate? Because if he goes as well, that's 3 goalkeepers they're going to need. Because I reckon Ortega is going to go, man.
Yeah, I think the thing is, if Ederson's gone, which I think is probably likely given how desperate he was to leave last summer, and Saudi will no doubt come back again with another offer. And we should not be telling Ortega that he's our number 1. And if we do, then I think Ortega goes, right, well, I want to go as well then, because I want to actually be number 1 somewhere. Yeah. In which case, we've got 2 minimum. That third one, I mean, look, if Carson goes, it's a bit annoying, but there's got to be another 35, 36-year-old homegrown goalkeeper out there somewhere who's happy to do Carson's job for a couple
of years. I think it'll be? I think that next person to fill that gap is Kasper Schmeichel.
Kasper Schmeichel. I was just going to say, yeah, because he did the podcast recently, didn't he, with Gary Neville and all that. What was it called now? And he talks about City's academy in that.
He's winding down.
And I think
career, what, 36, 37 now.
Yeah, he came from City's academy. He's talking about the recent stuff they're doing in the academy.
Yeah,
feels an awful lot like a guy who spent some time there.
You know Kasper Schmeichel, right? I remember, right, fucking back in, oh my God, it must have been like 2007. We played Forest in an FA Cup game at the Etihad, right? And we got beat 3-0, right? And I was sat behind the dugout. This was before it was the posh seats. This was before it was the Tunnel Club, yeah. This is when it was just normal seats. And basically, I think what happened is, we conceded the goal. I think it was the same day that Wayne Bridge was announced as him. I can't remember. But anyway, basically, pretty mad. It kicked off. We conceded the third goal. And a couple of the players, including Schmeichel, were like laughing on the bench in the dugout. And like some City fans were like, "What the fuck are you laughing at? We get beat 3-0." And like he turned around and give it back, Kasper Schmeichel, and it fucking went off. The stewards had to come down and like get the City fan and be like, "Yo, chill." And the City fans like, "Fucking
what a guy.
We're getting beat 3-0." Because at this point, like Forest were in like League One or Championship or whatever. Yeah, I've always just remembered that. You know what I mean? But I actually rated him. I thought it was all right, man, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? So, that is a shout, you know, Paul. I actually see that one happening, to be fair.
Yeah. He's
apparently,
according to is it Herbal in the chat, Kasper is 38 now. Carson's 39.
Did you see that on that interview he had on the overlap? Did you see him talking about where he's played basically right centre back as in games where Where did he play? Was it in France? Did he play?
Was it Nice where he went?
He
to?
said
their coach said, "Right, today you're going to play right back, basically, right centre back," and he was literally stood there just pinging diags.
Yeah,
they had the extra man overload, and he was basically playing right centre back, getting the ball free and just pinging balls to the winger. So I think it's a shout. You know, he's homegrown. He's probably home is Manchester.
Get him in, just get him in. He'll do that as well. I just remember when he passed Aguero. I think he passed Aguero the ball, didn't he? When we played him a few years ago. And I think then he passed. I'm pretty sure he passed Aguero the ball, and Aguero just chipped the goalkeeper, chipped in. So it was pretty mad. But that's actually fairs. Get him in as a third choice goalkeeper. He's probably a bit too old.
A second choice, to be fair.
Nah, I wouldn't have him a second.
Not second.
No,
but in the short term,
nah. I wouldn't.
Nah, I think he's too old.
Really?
He's doing all right for Celtic, but Celtic, man, like Celtic is just a.
I guess it's just about how good he is on the ball, right?
Does he start for Celtic?
Yeah, he's had 30 appearances this season in the league. He's very much Celtic's first choice goalkeeper, but again, he is 38. So the idea is
it depends on whether or not he wants to just wind down, move back to Manchester, chill for a few years, innit?
It makes a lot of sense the more you think about it, right? Is like who's the next along that line? We've had Richard Wright, we've had Scott Carson now, who's the next sort of homegrown.
He still starts for Denmark as well, He's just played against
the more that you're saying it, the more I don't think he'd join the third choice then. If he still played, unless he actually legit wants to wind down.
International career ends this summer.
If he can't be asked playing anymore and he's like, I actually don't want to play.
It doesn't have to be that. I mean, you could squeeze another season out of Carson, right? I'm sure he'd be happy to
Carson would be happy to take.
Yeah, 30 grand.
Yeah, he's 30 grand a week.
Yeah, he's having it off, isn't he? He's having it off.
This is what I don't get about City. Yeah, it's like why is Scott Carson on £30,000 a week? Like, why is he not on £5 grand a week?
Yeah,
that's like 20. That's 20 grand a month.
He's a mascot, isn't he? He's just a mascot. Why is he on 30 grand? I mean, to be fair, we don't know if that's true, innit? Like these websites, you don't know if he can really believe it and that. But if he's on 30 grand a week, that's fucking insane. Yeah, but at that level, 30 grand is probably quite cheap because you don't forget you're paying 50% tax on that, probably more.
Yeah.
Oh, boo-hoo. 15.
No, you know what? No, what I'm saying is like for that sort of professional status that he's got of being around that, to be paying somebody like that, I think it's just pocket change, right? For having somebody who is quite possibly one of the most vital members of the back. He's not necessarily a player, but he's more like a back. He's like
he's basically a coach, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
Hype
but he's
man.
getting
He's a
paid.
hype-
But he's getting paid $1 million. That's $1 million a year. Like that's mad. Like to do
nothing
that.
like nowadays.
And you know what with him as well, Poolpy, yeah? That guy can go pub and have pints. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
he's
you
not
know
like,
that if he's playing, we are in shit.
yeah,
He
exactly.
even
Like,
talks
bro.
this year about that. Is it Kieran? Is it Slicker? Is he still
Oh
knocking about?
yeah. The
Even
guy
he's
was at
been talks
Rochdale.
about probably coming into the squad before him. So, you know, he's just
Yeah.
having it off. Scott Carson.
Like, it
mate.
might be funny, yeah. If, like Scott Carson's mate rings him up on a Friday and goes, "Oh, sneak round to my house, have a couple pints." He's like, "Yeah, sound man. Don't worry. I seen Ortega and Carson in training today, chilling." But if someone rings Edison, and be like, "Yo, Edison, come round and have some fucking nah, soz, mate. I got a game tomorrow."
Give me 5 years, I might be able to have a couple of beers, but not right now. It's on. But Scott Carson's like,
yeah,
I'd want a bender. Absolutely. Got nothing to. I'm not playing the weekend. Probably wouldn't be on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. Big up to Foggy, mate, who's just come 12 months on that as well. Big up to Matt Fog, man. He says, "Yo, LB, hope you're well, Bray. Missed a few streams, but feeling better now." You've not missed a lot because, to be honest with you, I've not really done too much over the last week because there's not much happening, so I've just sort of chilled in it. But obviously, City are back this weekend, so the content's ramping up again now. But yeah, good to hear that you're feeling better, mate. Good to hear that you're feeling better. Big up to a professional idiot as well. Says LB would say Pep out for sure. This is on Echeverri. If Echeverri got loaned out, I'll be Pep out. Big up, professional idiot. And LB says Brazil versus Argentina. Watch along or nah. I can't do it, bro. I was up early this morning. I had a doctor's appointment in it. So yeah, I went a doctor's appointment, hospital appointment. I had a hospital appointment, so I was up at fucking 8:00.
Early 8:00. Is that what you're saying?
Bro, the game kicks off at midnight. He wants me to stay up till 2:00 in the morning. And you know what? I would actually have done that if I fucking Echeverri would have been in there, but it dropped him from the squad, man.
Yeah.
There's no interest in that game, is there?
No. All right, and that's anything else we want.
I have something I want to bring up.
Oh, go on.
It's about a term that I've mentioned a few times: absolute hindsight merchants. And Morgan Rogers has finally lifted the lid on the fact that I'm sick of people saying, "Get his player back. We should never let him go. We should have always been stayed." And he should have been given a chance to say it. He's just come out and said, "I wasn't good enough. I had to go away and I had to wear my crust, and I come back and now I'm decent." And that probably makes sense for a lot of players that have left City because they're not good enough. They have to go out and earn the crust and do the job, be a man, learn the game, develop themselves, and then when they actually become decent, fair play to them. They've earned that right.
Yeah, but okay. So when it comes to the academy players, I really think, depending on who you're saying it about, tells me whether or not you actually watched him in the academy, right? Because
I don't watch much academy stuff, mate. I must have.
No, but Morgan Rogers was crap in the academy. He wasn't very good in the academy. So, like, anyone that said we should never have sold Morgan Rogers in the academy, I'm like, did you even watch him in the academy?
Yeah.
Morgan Rogers was not good in the academy.
It doesn't matter. It could have been. It doesn't matter what he's done for the academy and stuff. It's the hindsight merchants that see him playing well at another team.
Yeah, no, and I get that. So for me, people are saying we should never have sold him. I'm like, what are you chatting? He was pretty dead, or average. Like, would be nice, be respectful in it. He was average in the academy. Where I will have it though is Palmer, because Palmer was fucking mint, and Palmer was mint when he played for City in the right position. So I will always say we massively ballsed up on the Palmer. I said it at the time. I'll say it now. I'll never have it that was a good decision ever, because that was stupid. That guy was mint when we played him right wing and we played him in the middle. Yeah, not with Mahrez because he needed pace on the right wing. He was class. Yeah, but so we did fuck up on that one. But yeah, like Morgan Rogers, we didn't screw up on that one. That's just an L. Like, what can you do about that?
But there's a lot more than just Morgan Rogers. It's just I'm sick of it, man. The lack of a good game, and Howard Bellis has a good game and everyone's out. I'm just sick of hearing it, mate. It just gets on my tits.
Okay, so Delap.
It's been on for years, though. It's on for years.
No, I know. So Delap, I actually don't get why Pep never played him again after the Bournemouth game. Remember the Bournemouth game?
Yeah, he scored that absolute. He scored
that banger with his left foot, and then we never seen him again. So I think some City fans are a little bit frustrated. However, we did then buy Alvarez, who was class, and make like fucking mad profit on it.
And then we sold Alvarez and had the perfect meeting of Delap moving back into the squad as Alvarez left, and didn't even give Delap a chance and just fucking sold him first chance we got.
Good enough. Simple as that.
Maybe he's not good enough.
He don't look like he's not good enough while he's at.
Well,
he's
still not good enough.
I kind of like him, but I hear that one a little bit, right? So who else?
Lavia, another one. Everyone's glazing him because he had a good season at Southampton.
I'll tell you something though. There was a lot of City fans at the time who wanted Lavia to be given a go. Now, I didn't properly rate him like that.
Money at the time, just because he just...
Yeah,
that's another one where he's a young kid at the academy and he's at the City team. And because
I don't think that was a hindsight merchant. That wasn't hindsight, though.
That's not hindsight.
There was a lot of City. I'm not even one of them, though, Pulpy. But there was a lot of City fans who watched the academy at the time and said Lavia was class.
Yeah, I think if there's plenty of people out there who say, like, when a player leaves, that it's a shame that they go. Like, I don't like that Delap got sold. I don't like that Lavia got sold. I didn't like them at the time that they happened. If Delap turns out to score 25, 30 goals in a couple of years' time, that doesn't make me a hindsight merchant, because I didn't want him to go this summer. It's just that I also don't want him to go. Morgan Rogers is absolutely what you're talking about here, and that's fine.
That's a hindsight merchant.
But Lavia, there were so many people who were fuming that we sold him because we didn't even give him a chance. Like, because we needed a.
No, I understand that, but at the end of the day, he wasn't deemed good enough.
And no, but he wasn't deemed good enough by. He wasn't deemed good enough by. He wasn't deemed good enough by Pep.
And all of a sudden, it's social media.
No, but he wasn't deemed. But he wasn't deemed worth keeping by the club. But there are a lot of fans who deemed him good enough to play, and those are the fans that deem it annoying that he's playing as well as they thought he could somewhere else, and it's not at Manchester City. Like, that's the thing, because we needed Rodri back up. We needed a Rodri back up, and we needed a Rodri back up, and we didn't even give the guy who was sat in our academy, who by all accounts was tearing it up for the academy in that position.
He was doing pretty good.
Didn't even give him a look in at all. And then now we've ended up in a situation we've had no Rodri back up for the last 2 or 3. Obviously, Lavia's gone on to have his injury issues, and that's like one of those things that you can't know whether that would have happened if he stayed or left. But the point is that we never gave him a shot in a position that we absolutely needed a backup in, and now he's got himself a move to Chelsea, admittedly off the back of a good season at Southampton. But when he plays for Chelsea, he looks good. It's just that he's not available very often because of his injury problems. But that's by the by. But yeah, that's another one where, again, there were plenty of people saying it at the time. And there are always going to be ones where, you know, like a Rodgers, where he disappears and no one cares at the time, and then he just
Rodgers is a
appears as a
hindsight. If you do it with
25-year-old.
Rodgers, you're a hindsight merchant.
Yeah, but if you
no
do it
one
with
was saying
Lavia,
that when he was leaving.
if you do it with Lavia, or when people were doing it with Sancho when he was at Dortmund, you aren't a hindsight merchant, because these are players who left with a lot of City fans being fuming that he was gone because he did play well in the academy.
Yeah, the players can go and you can be pissed off that they're gone because you didn't get a chance, but it's when they have gone and they've necessarily gone down maybe 1 or 2 steps below City, and then they fight their way back up. That's when,
like Rodgers,
the hindsight merchants are piping up saying it was a mistake to let him go because he's now playing well. But he wasn't good enough to be starting for us. You know what I mean? He wasn't good enough for us back then. He went away, and now he's actually half decent. He's kind of like, you want you to hold 15 young players in a hope that one of them might come through. It doesn't work like that. I'm just like,
no, and I completely agree with you on the Rodgers one. I disagree on Palmer. Obviously, thought it was a terrible decision. Lavia, I've already said this a million times. I just think they saw Phillips, 40 million quid, and saw that we could sell Lavia for 15 with a 20% sell on and probably get another 10 out of it, 25 million, and thinking net spend on that is then what, 15 million on an England international. Now, the problem that they didn't think about, they seen that as a financially sick deal when they signed Phillips. The problem that they completely missed is that Phillips was an average player. Like, I've always not rated that guy, even when he won that fucking Player of the Year award for England in the Euros or whatever it was. And I thought, how has he won that? Because he was next to Rice the whole time, or Henderson or whatever.
They saw something in him. They saw something in him that nobody else could see.
Who?
The coach, when we signed him
at City, yeah.
They saw something in him which either we never saw, or they couldn't get out of him.
Yeah, I just think they completely just fucking.
I don't think they signed him. I don't think they signed him in bad faith. They signed him to try and change him into something that he wasn't capable of doing, and it just didn't work.
Yeah,
I mean, I never rated the guy anyway.
I will say another one on another one you mentioned there is Harwood Bellis. I would say that maybe selling him is a bit of a maybe one where we will. You can say it might be hindsight merchant in however long, but I think Harwood Bellis is someone who we should have been putting on that loan farm rather than selling out.
Oh, it's coming. I'm just saying, every time that an ex-City player now goes on to have a somewhat decent career somewhere else, it's hindsight merchantry.
I think the problem
maybe
is that,
excluding Palmer on that one. I'll kind of see. I can't stand him. I think it was a good thing to get rid of him in the end, but
I can't believe that.
Personally, I just don't think how. I just don't know. He's had a good season at Chelsea. He's kind of plateauing now a bit, right? He's not at the level.
Nah, the way he started that season.
Right? I'm just saying, eventually it will plateau, and that peak that he had, he's kind of finding his level now.
Yeah, and that's fine. But that level is still that level is still better than all of our wingers. Like that's fine.
No,
like,
I disagree. Not now. In that form he had, where he was like absolutely taking the piss, and he looked like the biggest mistake in the world.
He walks into our starting 11.
I think it might pan out. My personal opinion, in 2 years' time, it might pan out to have actually been.
I think. But yeah, as a general rule, I think you're right that if it's someone like a Morgan Rogers or some randomer who just like leaves our academy, who no one bats an eyelid about, like if CJ Egan Riley suddenly becomes like a world class right back, no one's gonna be like, what, we should never. Well, there will be some, but they'll be.
I actually hype that guy heavily as well.
Yeah, and they'll be the ones who'll be like, right, we should never have sold this guy. But I think when you're talking about the likes of Harwood Bellis, Lavia, Sancho, Cole Palmer, like these are players who all left, and it was heavily criticised. And and it'll be the same when McAtee goes this summer and inevitably finds his way back to a top 6 club again afterwards, and he's mint. We'll not be hindsight merchants because we all saw how we all know how good he is, and we all know how good he can be. And it's annoying seeing those players leave and become that level of good somewhere else when we all know that if Pep just gave him a chance, there's every opportunity that they could have become that good here, but they just will never be given the chance to do so as long as Pep's a manager, because his standards are ridiculously high to the point where obviously it makes us very successful, but too high to the point where basically no academy players are ever going to get given a genuine shot in the first team because they'll never meet those standards.
We can't have one without the other, to be fair. You've got to have the high standards to be able to
achieve what exactly. You can't have...
I
still think we just said there, Joe, is hindsight merchantry. It really is. I just think it is, mate. I just don't think there's... If they've gone and they go, no matter where they go or how close they were to being in our team, it's just the piping up of the fucking mutants online that are just like, it's everywhere. Just sick of it.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not a hindsight if that fan was saying we should not sell this player.
Yeah, but they say that about everyone. It's every single player, mate. It's not like it's every single. Yeah, it's every player.
Wait a second. Is this classic social media shit? Where is this the same person saying it about them? Or is this just different people saying about different? Because I'm saying I said it about Palmer, but I didn't say it about Lavia. So when I say
everywhere you go, mate, everywhere you go, it's there, and it will only get worse.
Okay, so I think but the reason that is because I think you need to see it as a compliment that our academy is so good. It produces such world class talent that we are going to have these players that we sell, and they're going to be mint. The problem is, though, Pulpy, is when you sell players like Palmer and buy Savio and Doku, who neither of them are as good as Palmer, you're going to get this.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily get it as much with Delap when Alvarez comes in or Mahmoud comes in.
Yeah. There is also an element of, like, you know, if I tell LB, right, if we sell James McAtee, he is going to be a top 6 level player. And then in 5 years' time, James McAtee's gone and is suddenly bought by, like, Chelsea and is there and is starting for them every week. I'm not a hindsight merchant for that. I literally told you that was going to happen, and I think that's been the case with a lot of these players that we all saw Lavia leave, and just from watching him in the academy and just from seeing like highlights of him and little bits of what he's been doing and the hype that he came with, we all knew that he was destined for like a big club at some point. And lo and behold, he's at Chelsea. And likewise with Sancho, when he left, he ended up at Dortmund and found his way to United. Obviously, you know, is what it is, but he's now at Chelsea. He's a top level player effectively, like even if his attitude's a bit shit, and that's why we ultimately sold him. Palmer, likewise, like we're seeing players leave who many fans are like, these are top level players in the making, and you're letting them walk out the door. It's not hindsight merchant when they turn out to be those top level players that we're all bigging them up to be. Like Morgan Rogers is the exception to this, the biggest exception, the most notable one, because of the route that he's taken. But Harwood Bellis is the same. He will. I'm convinced he will end up at a Spurs or an Arsenal or a Chelsea or something like that at some point in the future. And when he does, that won't make me a hindsight merchant.
Yeah, okay, but on that one, so can I ask you a question on that one, right? So the difference is with that one, though, when we've been letting him go, we've had Diaz, Stones, Ake, Akanji. We've had 6 players. So there's no... That's why... That's the
I'm not devastated that he's gone.
Yeah, that's the difference. I think
it was the right thing to sell him. It was the right thing to let him go.
Well, he was loaned. He was loaned with an obligation to buy if they got promoted. That's why.
Barring Palmer, which I will agree. Barring Palmer, I mean, that's what I've said. What I said, it's out there. But a lot of these players, they were right to go. It was the right move for the club to let these players go at the right
actually
time.
agree. The only one that I really think is a
and people can't see
joke
that, and that's
was
what they can't
Palmer.
see. People see it as though the grave mistake has been made.
No, and I agree. And I agree. I do think some people overdo it, but the one that they absolutely fucked up on was Palmer. Absolutely. And the people who used to make me laugh. I used to go on Twitter after game. Palmer would be stuck on the left wing in a City match, right?
Yeah,
left wing,
exactly.
And he'd do fuck all. And I go on Twitter and I'd see City fans saying, "This fucking raggy shit," and I'm like, because he used to support United when he was fucking 4. Like, what are we doing here, mate? Like, and he used to say shit, and I'm like, I've not seen this guy in the academy, mate, because you know what, as well, yeah, I changed my mind on him. The first time I ever seen this guy in the academy, I thought the guy was dead. Yeah, I thought he was a dead baller. I was like, this guy's crap, mate. He's a scrawny kid. Yeah, he's proper lanky, no muscle. I thought this guy's dead. I did the same thing with Mahrez. Yeah, I changed my mind all the time based off of new evidence. And I started watching him in the academy. I thought, oh my God, this guy's unreal. And if you judged Palmer when he played right wing or when he played attacking midfielder with a fast right winger, not Mahrez, because that won't work, yeah, he was mint every time. You seen him score big goals. He scored one against Arsenal. He scored one in the Super Cup. Yeah, this was not a mistake where you can sit there and go, oh my God, this was just a horrendous mistake. The others, I agree. I think the others, like, yeah, Joe can sit there about Bellis and people can sit there about Lavia and that, but like, there's justifiable situations with the Lavia. Like, they bought Palmer, I didn't rate him, but it's not like it's just an L, innit? Like, the only one that they got wrong really was Palmer. And the sad thing is, every other player, they did buyback clauses. On the best one, Palmer, they didn't do it.
Nothing. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's actually on Palmer then, right? So, when we've got a full strength squad,
people hate Palmer chat as well. So, this is pretty funny. People hate this conversation.
So, when we've got a full strength squad now, so that means that everyone we've got is playing at the best of their ability. Do you think Palmer gets in that 11?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. 100%.
I don't think he gets near.
So, where's he?
Who's he not get?
He gets in at right wing straight away.
So,
and this year he gets in at centre attacking midfield over Foden and De Bruyne.
Yeah.
No, I just said if people are playing their full potential,
he plays
barring a form.
He plays
I'd have Foden on the right wing. He's not getting in front of Foden there.
But you can't. But I don't think. But you can't use. But that's just like that's a situation that isn't real. Like, I mean, obviously, I know that the whole thing is hypothetical anyway. But you can't say. Well, you can't say would he go in ahead of peak Kevin De Bruyne, because we don't currently have peak Kevin De Bruyne.
I'm saying if taking away what's happened this season, I don't. He might well be very close to starting, but I just don't think he gives us anything better than we've got.
I think he does. I think this season,
one good season that he's had at Chelsea. One good
season. Are you forgetting everything before Christmas? Like, it was unreal for like this. He's had a shit last couple of months, obviously, but he's still putting in like. He's still putting ridiculous numbers.
4 months, he said 4 months.
Practically 4 months, right?
I think
you're so funny, Fulby, man.
Mate, I can. There's not a chance on this
I understand
planet.
you took it really badly that he's gone and he's done. I understand.
I took it badly.
I understand you've taken it badly. I do get it. I do understand it, but it is what it is, man.
You're tripping if you don't think Palmer gets in this fucking team.
I'm fine with you. I'm fine with you not being as bothered as the rest of us that Palmer's gone, because ultimately he left and we still won a 4th title in a row. Like, obviously didn't kill us that much, but I just cannot get. But I cannot get over the idea that you don't think he gets into our best 11. Like, that's just pure cope. Like, there is not a chance.
He was ripping it up in the league. Where were Chelsea? Where Chelsea?
Oh, come
on! Come on! Let's have it right.
He was playing in a shit disjointed Chelsea team and was still putting in those
Chelsea
numbers.
Squad and Chelsea's level of football, and him ripping it up in the league and doing absolutely brilliant, by the way. And you can't take away the fact that's there. And then being probably the second best team in the world, which we were.
He gets in this team.
100% he gets in this team. So let's say then. Let's say that De Bruyne 100%, as you say. He's probably not good enough at the moment. So let's say Foden is the centre attacking mid. You've got Nico and
I'd have Foden on the right in an ideal situation. Right. He's not getting in front of Foden.
So who are you putting in second? Who you putting as the
He's not getting there. And anywhere else in the team, I wouldn't even have him wait.
I think current Cole Palmer goes in ahead of De Bruyne, and current Cole Palmer goes in ahead of De Bruyne.
No, still not having it.
You definitely
no. This is bait now. This is bait.
You're choosing the thing. It's definitely not.
If you genuinely think that, then you haven't watched any Cole Palmer for the last
He watches every game. He's got him with a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Misplaced
I hate
pass.
watching him, man. I hate watching him. No,
You either haven't watched
I
Palmer or you
don't
haven't
think
watched us. Like it's one of the two. It's one of the two because like there's no way that you can think that Cole Palmer's not City level at this point.
Defo gets in. He defo does.
He probably got in. To be honest, Cole Palmer probably gets in most of last season. To be honest, like I think Cole Palmer since he's left has shown that he's so obviously at the level
last
to play
season.
for Manchester
Absolutely,
City.
I would say yeah. Like, I can't argue with that. I will be say, you know what? On the form he had last season, yes. This season, no.
Right. Can I ask you just quickly, because I know Joe's got to go because he's got work in the morning yet. But can I ask you one last question real quick here? Would you take, because we're talking about the winger situation and we need maybe another midfielder or whatever. Would you take Brahim Diaz back at Manchester City?
I'd take him back as like a utility option who you could have because he can play he can play the cam, he can play left, right wing,
He can play do pretty much anywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it, but I would still very much have it as like, right, you're gonna be like our emergency button kind of player for like a multiple positions. I still would have him. I wouldn't want him to come in and be our go-to position to guy in any of those positions. But again, he's kind of like ideally what you want these academy products for. He's someone who comes in, is loves being at the club, gets 10, 15, 20 max games a season, is fine with that, and that's what he does. I don't know if that's kind of I don't know if those are the kind of minutes that he's currently getting at Real Madrid or he's getting a little bit more at the moment. But that's the kind of position that you would want players that come through our academy to eventually fill up. And obviously we've got a problem where, our academy guys, the guys who are coming through our academy are so good at the age of like 18, 19. They know that they can walk into most starting 11s in the Premier League at that point.
And Pep ain't going to play the academy kids.
No, exactly.
So I'm thinking, right, say Echeverri we get Wirtz, right? Grealish goes, and Echeverri decides like we loan Echeverri out, right? You bring Diaz in, you've got the experienced winger. So actually, you got 4 wingers then, and one of them is experienced in Diaz, so he can play on the wing. And he also can play in that attacking sort of midfield role and like rotate with Wirtz and I just thought I'd throw it out there as a potential option.
Only thing is if you do that, then you really are saying so long farewell to Echeverri then at that point, aren't you? Because you just signed Diaz on presumably like a 4 or 5 year deal, and Echeverri's not coming. Echeverri's got another body in front of him then to then attempt to come in ahead of when he returns from his loan, if that's the case.
Yeah, they're good. Great. I don't ignore him. I don't really know where Mamouchi's long term. He's
not winger. He's a false. He's the second striker.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily ignoring him. I just don't really know where he's going to play yet, bro. So I've already said I think next year you'll see a lot more of like where we're going to see.
It feels like he's playing a bit of. Do you remember when De Bruyne was injured and Alvarez came in and was like the second guy, like the sort of the midfielder / striker sort of? It feels like Marmouche is just being asked to do that at the moment. Like he's only playing when De Bruyne isn't, and he's kind of doing those same.
We'll see the best Marmouche next season when the team's built a bit more to get the best out of players like him. Because at the minute it's just not. We're not getting the best out of anyone right now. Whereas next year I'd imagine there's a change to more effective form of play to get the best out of players like Marmouche and Foden, for instance.
Yeah, 100%.
But on Diaz, have you not learned anything from Gundogan? You never go back, lads.
Well, I didn't know you'd say that. I knew you'd say
never go back.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right then, boys. Big up, man. Big up to the Chin, who says Barca have the same problem with Amasio. They had the same thing with Nico Gonzalez. I do actually remember when we signed Gonzalez, there was Barca fans in the chat saying a lot of Barca fans didn't want Gonzalez to go, but they just couldn't get him in the team. That's why he left. So, listen, I think, for me, like, I don't want to go over it again, but just quickly, like, you are going to make mistakes. You are going to let good players leave when you have a sick academy. The problem that I have is when you let a player go that's already playing well for you, like Palmer was. The rest can happen, and there's going to be the hindsight merchants on some of them. Some of them are going to be good players, but you maybe didn't play well necessarily at City or whatever, and you just turned out to be mint. But when you have a player like Palmer who was good at City and then you sell him, that's just stupid. I big up to JTI as well. Says big up to 19 months as well. Big up, man. Says smash the likes. Big up LB, Pulpit, and Joe. There we go, man. All right, then, boys. Big up to Joe, man. You got the podcast out with a ramble. What, you guys done a podcast recently on that?
Yes, there's one coming out tomorrow morning, actually, where we just go over a few little news bits. I think we do talk about the Echeverri thing and the Trent thing as well, which is very funny. So yeah, back to obviously we're only doing a couple of pods a week while it's the international break, but then yeah, next week it's back to the daily grind.
Daily pods, man. Daily pods. And Pulpit, what are you saying, man? What was this you doing? You gave a speech today.
I did give a speech, yeah.
Oh, what's all that about?
Guest speaker at my old university.
Oh,
Yeah, just talking to my old degree course. It's actually quite good, to be fair.
was it?
As you might have realised, I can waffle a bit, so my 20-minute speech lasted 45 minutes. So
No,
yeah, it's good, to be fair. I enjoyed it, but yeah, I've been trying to chill on Twitter. I've just been resting. It's been international break. I've been focusing on just not getting my impressions up and just chilling. So
your impressions.
I don't care if I'm just. That's what people think, right? Every time because you got a blue tick, everyone's like, "Oh, you have 3 impressions." I'm like, I just can't give a shit, mate. I bought it for work. But, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know why I fucking have it, mate. I fucking not got the pay thing on, so I don't get paid for it anymore.
Yeah,
it used to pay for itself. Mine used to pay for itself. I used to get like £12 a month, so I thought I pay £9. I think I pay like £9 a month. I always see it come out of my account, and then I get paid like 12 quid. So like when people say, "Oh, why have you got it?" I'm like, "Well, it fucking pays itself." But then it fucking disconnected from the bank or something, and then it's like reset up, and I'm like, it was meant to connect all this shit, and I'm like, I ain't doing that for 12 quid. I don't actually know why I've still got it, to be honest.
I just have it because I used to use TweetDeck, and it's not a pro thing, right? But I need it. I need access to that for work, just for. That's literally all I pay for it for.
Yeah.
But yeah, now football's back. The shit takes will be back on X, I think.
Yeah.
Get in. That's what we live for. We live for that shit.
Just be a few here and there. Not as bad as the have been.
Yeah.
Not as bad as Cole Palmer wouldn't make it into our 11.
No, not even that, John. Wouldn't get anywhere near. That's a stinker.
I mean,
that's a stinker.
Anywhere near you only got 11 spots, right? And you can only get in 2, so he's not getting nowhere near. So I don't know. Let's see in 5 years whether I'm right or wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll hold my hand.
You're wrong. What you in about 5 years? You're already wrong. Anyway, let's end. John needs to go sleep. Smash the likes up, people, on the way out. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. Quality show as always, man. Martin's live, so I'll redirect you to Martin. Make sure you go over there, spam LB Raid in the chat, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, people.